Welcome to our Women in Sectional Title webinar, the last one for the year, can you believe? As we close the chapter on this whirlwind of a year in our sectional title industry, I think it's really an opportune time to sit back, sit down, take a deep breath, and reflect on all those little moments across the year that shaped us, that made us think, that made us learn and grow, because as you know, here at Women in Sectional Title, we're a vibrant, dynamic community. And I, for one, understand that there are so many shared experiences across the provinces, across our companies. And the one objective that I've always had with this platform is to say to women that you're not alone working in the industry. You're not working in a vacuum. There are people around you having similar issues, having similar problems, and it's not only even here, also overseas. A huge thank you has to go to WeConnectU, our sponsor, who has really shown such great loyalty to our platform, and we really appreciate it. One thing I can mention going forward for 2026 is we do look forward to the National Association of Managing Agents Conference, which looks to be held sometime in October next year, and that will be in the Gauteng area. So today I have chosen to discuss our reflective moments for 2025 with three very special people who I'd like to interview. Well, actually two of them, I suppose, need no introduction to our Women in Sectional Title platform. And as our stories overlap, so too, we'd love to just hear from you on the chat. If you've got similar experiences or if you've got any questions, I'll keep an eye on the chat as we go along. But for now, let me introduce our panel to you. So we've got Hunter Strayedom from our WeConnectU sponsor. Hunter, you are the customer success consultant at WeConnectU.
Yes, I'm one of them.
Welcome. I'm going to ask you a question about that particular heading. Yeah, it sounds very interesting. Thank you for joining us. Also, we've got Zelinda van der Merwe, who's a co-founder and director at TVDM Consultants. Hi, Zelinda.
Hi, Marina. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me online this morning.
Lovely to see you. And last but certainly not least, we've got Serena de Freitas. Serena's the director of the Harlov Property Group, and she's the chair of the National Association of Managing Agents KZN Committee. Hello, Serena.
Hi, Marina. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today.
Great to see you too. Okay, so I'm going to just go through one at a time just to start off with the three questions for each one of you. The first question is, and going to start with Zelinda and then Serena, and then I'll go on to Hunter. So 2025 in one word, and why?
My team and I had such an interesting debate about this yesterday. So everybody said 2025 was 2020 thrive. We narrowed it down to whirlwind. That is what this year was to us, a whirlwind.
Okay, interesting. Okay, we're going to go into that in a bit more detail just now. Serena, what's your word?
I think it has been the longest, shortest year. That's the only way I can say it. So much has happened, but yet the year has flown, and I don't know how we got to December so quickly.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. And I think that's probably quite a reflection on the sort of economic circumstances as well surrounding where we are in South Africa. I think it's almost like a little bit what I say is pushing a rock uphill some days, tough. Hunter, your word and why?
I think mine would be anticipation. It kind of feels like we are on the brink of something. I'm hoping and I'm believing it's something positive and something good, but it's as if, I don't know, we're holding our breath for something. But yes, anticipation.
Yeah, but I think Hunter, you've been hanging around Donnie van der Merwe for too long, hey?
It's it's impossible for him not to rub off in some way or other.
Absolutely. And then let's ask you guys, going to Zelinda again, what was the biggest, most unexpected challenge that you feel hit our industry this year?
I believe it was the practice directives, although it wasn't unexpected. I think the sheer volume and the way in which it was presented was quite unexpected. And then everybody's immediate belief that it was going to completely, rock the industry. Where it was only a couple of amendments. So that was pretty big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. And I actually thought, gosh, am I falling behind on something? Because it came out all this is this huge thing, and I thought the whole everything's been reworked, and I better get myself up to speed. Yeah, and actually it was a bit of a sort of a not let down, but at the end of the day, it wasn't as big. You're quite right. Serena, biggest challenge, unexpected challenge you feel?
I didn't expect the debt collection process to be so huge this year. I didn't expect that there would be so many people that are not just unable, but mostly unwilling to pay levies. And it's only when you actually hand over to attorneys, then they suddenly come up with the money. And I think that for me this year, I've noticed has been a big focus is on debt collection, which obviously takes a lot of time and resources from the managing agent's perspective, but it's something you have to be on top on.
You can lose a building if you are not collecting for your building.
Absolutely.
That's what I've realized. I mean, you're only as good as your last sort of collection to be able to say, look how much I collected. And something else that I can tell you is that working in the arrear levy collection sort of business as well, from our firm's point of view, it's just that you're not getting the results you want either. It's not that easy. If it was the process was easy and you're kind of just flowing through it and bringing in money, it's just not that easy. Because as you're getting to the end and you're trying to sell units at the end that are in arrears for hundreds of thousands, you're not getting the banks to lower their reserve price. It's just like this constant push all the time. So yeah, definitely. Fully agree with you. Hunter, anything unexpected?
I think the unexpected thing that hit us, obviously, but all the clients that is on the platform is the government's decision to increase VAT and then not to increase VAT. And then we obviously had to program an increase, and some people already ran their billing with increase, and then everything needed to be reversed. So I think for a client that is already stretched to the max with regards to admin and things like that, a normal billing run is supposed to be one of the easier tasks. So that just loaded during that April, May, June period. It just loaded really a lot of unnecessary admin and uncertainty onto an already rather frayed client group. So that was one of the unexpected ones for us.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, you don't think of those kind of things, but your admin involved and compliance is also, for me, I think that's a big buzzword, compliance in in everything that you do. And maybe that's what makes it harder to push that rock uphill, right?
Yeah.
Zelinda, what's the one trend from 2025 that you think is going to sort of play a role in shaping 2026?
I don't know. I'm busy with this at the moment.
Sorry, I think if you can just mute yourself. I think that's Anne. Thank you. Zelinda?
No problem. I think one of the bigger instructions that we've been receiving to date, and something that I think is going to continue and maybe grow more, is developers' amendments of the management rules for constitutions and layer developments. So, Marina, you've been included in quite a bit of correspondence there. So it's I think that is going to be pretty interesting to look at, and a quite challenging or complicated area of sectional title as well. So I'm pretty excited about that.
It is. It is. In fact, I've been drafting an association with new management rules because I'm kind of think I've got carte blanche to draft whatever I want, but it isn't really. It doesn't actually work that way. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Serena, one trend from 25.
Yeah, I think that I think AI is going to be used a lot more in the industry. I think as we start getting a little bit more used to it, I've already seen it being used. Um, it does have to be used with caution, obviously, because a lot of owners are using sort of ChatGPT to send sort of long emails about certain things, but then the old legislation is being quoted, and then you realize, you know, you can't really rely on AI all the time. You have to check it. But I do think that that's definitely going to, there's going to be pressure on managing agents to try and incorporate that, to try and streamline their workflows. And I think WeconnectU is going to help with that too.
Sure, for sure. Hunter, leading on to you.
That's definitely the biggest trend we've also seen. As Serena said, it is one of those shifts that is out there now that seems to initially there was a lot of fear and hesitation around AI because obviously the first thing that people think is machines are going to replace us as humans. So now we're getting into that actual very nice part of a new trend is to really understand it and to really understand the positive effect it can have in our world. But we've also seen very, very interesting emails coming through with half-baked instructions given to AI, and then AI just gives this amazing email, and it sounds fantastic. But then when you really go and boil down to what did you ask AI to write you here? Because it seems like there might be a miscommunication between them, how to interpret the acts and what you actually gave us now. So it leads to very interesting reading at times.
Guys, and they even have a term for it. I'm trying to become a bit more knowledgeable, and they call it hallucinations. I think that AI has. But listen,
Yes,
it does help. I mean, it definitely does. I think if we don't embrace it, we're all going to fall really, really way behind. Okay, Zelinda, I just want to spend a little time with you. So, from a legal perspective, um, what kind of conflicts were the most common that you saw in the complexes in 2025?
So one of the biggest ones that have come across my desk is issues relating to short-term letting. I don't know if it's more of a Cape Town thing than elsewhere. We've been working quite a lot with the Short-Term Rental Association of South Africa and the proposed changes with regards to short-term letting. And I don't know as well if it's a change from the way in which people are using their units, you know, if like they're now working from home a lot more or are at home a lot more after COVID, where people have become quite controlling about the use to which other units are put, controlling issues like nuisance, noise, security. People seem to be a lot less accommodating towards short-term letting. So that's been quite a big dispute. And then pets. Blaming pets for aggressive behavior when it really comes down to, owners not keeping their pets on leashes or keeping big dogs in small gardens. And I know we say the three P's of sectional title, but the pets one has really emphasized this year. And as I'm saying it, I've got my three big vicious breeds at my feet where they are most days. So I always get those instructions and I immediately have sympathy for the poor dogs. So short-term letting and pets were two very big ones that we've been dealing with.
Okay. Just from my side, I can tell you water ingress in Johannesburg is a big problem. Water ingress. I like every time I see a file, new matter, water ingress. So we've become quite expert on working with the Waterproofing Association here in South Africa as well. And was there any single case that you had that crossed your desk that made you sort of rethink how body corporates review compliance or should be approaching how to be compliant?
Yeah, so I had a little blurb written out, and then my evening meeting yesterday evening happened, which I posted on social media early. It was really just a horrible meeting, and I'm going to, at least myself, concentrate more on the basics of sectional title and what people should look out for when they buy into sectional title schemes. So the compliance starts before you're even a member. We're so quick to say, please make sure that you make an application for innovations and alterations and apply for your pets, and that there's an audit and a this and a that. But the problems actually start from even before people become members in body corporate. So I think my compliance focus is going to start before people even become members of schemes, and then just making sure that you read the fine print, the rules, the constitutions, and all those fun things as well. It's so easy to sign the sales agreement and sign here, sign here, sign here when the conveyancer points it out. But when you actually have the rules enforced on you, you've never seen the documentation before and you start challenging it. So that's what we're going to be looking at a lot more with compliance.
And from a trustee point of view, sometimes at the moment I'm feeling quite sorry for trustees. I think they confronted on so many levels with so much knowledge that they need to have. I mean, where do you think they battle the most in terms of compliance?
Time. A lot of trustees don't have time to be trustees. And I speak from my own experience. I mean, I became a trustee the very first time in my personal capacity for a self-motivated reason. I didn't want to pay a special levy, so I didn't want the special levy to be raised. And I don't have enough time to focus on it in my personal capacity either. Getting paid to be a trustee versus being an unpaid trustee is two very different things. And when trustees also take on a portfolio that they don't have any skill set in, if you don't understand a budget or financial statements, don't take on, the financial portfolio, or if you're not physically on site, don't take on the maintenance portfolio, whatever it might be. So I think also struggling to get hold of trustees has been a big one that I've seen this year as well. I've seen a lot more requests for professional trustee, a lot more requests for executive managing agents, which is not a bad thing. I'm very pro executive managing agents, but trustees, once they're in that position, they struggle to get out. The positions are a struggle to fill. Time. I don't even think knowledge is a problem, because you're talking about AI. I was told in my meeting last night, I've just Googled and Google says this and Google says that. There is so much information out there. You cannot say that you don't have the knowledge. It's the time to actually be a good trustee that's a problem. That's a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. Just a quick one on what you said now. Do you find in Cape Town there are quite a few paid trustees?
There are quite a lot, and I'm discovering them more and more. Not necessarily only people like us, not necessarily only attorneys, but a lot of managing agents, a lot of ex-trustees that actually really enjoyed being trustees, weirdos, and people that may be financially strong individuals. I don't, the comparison between Cape Town properties and Joburg properties and the values of it is like night and day. So I don't know if it is not seen as such a major expense. And it's a lot of motivation from managing agents as well. I find that managing agents really enjoy working with a professional trustee. They know it's somebody that understands. They know that it's somebody that supports them in what they do. They know that it's somebody that is going to reply to them when they need like an approval or something like that. So at least in my personal capacity and what I've spoken to my colleagues, they motivate having a professional trustee, and people tend to seek a professional trustee, interestingly, not when they're not able to get trustees, but rather when something comes up in the scheme that they're battling to deal with. So a dispute or a project or something along those lines, or they just want somebody to deal with the angry owner, somebody to take the bullets for them as well. So
Definitely.
I think so. I think there is quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And from my perspective, I think we really need to push the role of the executive managing agent. I believe in it, and I think that it is definitely going to be something in the future that we need to look at. The people in my part of the world, when maybe it's just my small vacuum of experience, but trustees are not wanting to be trustees. People are not wanting to be trustees. Just way too much, as you said. Okay, Serena, I'll come back to you, Zelinda. I just want to give everyone an equal sort of time. From the perspective of a managing agent on the ground, what has tested you the most this year?
Marina, I think we find ourselves, I'm being brutally honest, from a managing agent perspective, we've been dragged into a lot of unnecessary drama and quite intense animosity between owners and between owners and trustees. It's especially draining and testing for my staff. People seem to be more stressed out than ever this year, more demanding and antagonistic towards each other. Whereas in the past, they tended to sort of shy away from conflict and confrontation. And now they kind of look for things to pick on, which is, yeah, we've definitely found that this year.
Mm. And was there any building that taught you any lessons about strategy, or patience, or diplomacy, anything like that?
All of them every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
our patience is tested every day. But yeah, and from our side, we see how quickly conflict can escalate. And I mean, yesterday there was a trial for harassment, a trustee against an owner. 2 weeks before that, there was someone that parked in front of someone's garage and he got a big black Cokie and wrote all over the car, "This is not a parking." And the other person came out and found this and had a big drama, and then decided they were so angry that their car was written on, they got a padlock and locked the other person out of their home and took the key and drove off. So if you see anyone driving around with "This is not a parking" on the side of their car, let me know. But I mean, these are the things but okay, that's nothing we could have done something about. But a lot of it, I see that we can play a role in de-escalating it. A lot of the time we can. And I think managing agents, I know, are very under pressure themselves, but where we can, we should sort of step in and just try and perhaps make that phone call as opposed to the email and de-escalate it. There's been a lot of gaslighting and keyboard warriors. And we just have to be diplomatic and patient always.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think, and if you could like wave a magic wand and you could say to trustees, try and understand us a little bit more, try to
Yeah.
understand our management agency, like what kind of things would you want to happen?
I think if we were to say to the trustees, what's important is we use systems like WeconnectU. And for trustees and owners, they don't use the system. They can log in, they can get their own statements, they can get information about insurance and policies and claim forms and all of that. It's a self-help thing, we've taken the time to put all the documents on there. But the problem is that I think it's quicker just to email the managing agent. And I think once they start using this online offer, which I'm hoping they'll do during the holidays, as we put an auto reply and we're going to direct them to it, it'll be more manageable for everybody then to have that. So I'd like the trustees obviously to know that. I think also I'd like the trustees just to know that the managing agents have more than one building to manage. I think often trustees kind of forget that. And also I think that the service we offer is valuable. And it's not just another line item on the budget to slash with audit fees and whatever else. I think that you do get what you pay for. And the fee expectation is still very low, although the functions that we do since October 2016 has quadrupled. But yet the fees remain low for what we actually do and the service we provide. So that's something I'd like trustees to be reminded of.
And do you think there's also any value, about setting up those expectations early on, at the contract that they sign with the managing agent? I mean, that is probably one of the most important meetings you're ever going to have with them.
Yes. Well, we do. And when new trustees come on board, we have sort of an induction pack, and that shows them how to use WeconnectU, and it tells them, all the resolutions, the pieces of legislation. We don't want to overburden them, but there are a few things that let them know what they are and aren't allowed to approve, for instance, at their trustees meetings. But yeah, that's something that we definitely do, but it doesn't really help. Unfortunately, people don't
Behavior.
read the emails. They're just overwhelmed, as the Linda said, they don't have the time. Trustees are very normally under pressure with an AGM. There's no board, and it's like everyone says, "Oh, but they like so and so," and he feels under pressure. So, okay, I'll be a trustee, not realizing the role that's involved.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Talking about behavior, Hunter, I'm going to move on to you. In terms of you guys from WeConnectU collect a prolific amount of data. And from that data, I'm sure that you get some sort of reports or some sort of feeling as to what the behavioral trends are in these schemes. Can you enlighten us on that?
So what we saw this year that struck us was that there seems to be a trend the last year and a little bit maybe of more and more startup pop-up managing agents or boutique firms opening up. I mean, if we look at our market research for clients about 2 years ago versus our market research on the client pool in South Africa this year, it was tremendous, the increase in smaller 1, 2, 3 man managing agents. And I think, and we're seeing, we're almost seeing a waterfall effect with the clients moving from the larger to the medium, from the medium to the small, from the small to the starter firms. And I think it is purely because we are experiencing a situation where the clients they don't want to feel like just another number. They want to feel that personal connection with the managing agent and that it is somebody that is going to be able to assist them with this extremely overwhelming responsibility that they are supposed to fulfill, and they just don't have the capacity for it. So that was a quite interesting trend for us. I mean, if we look at our client base, about a year ago, a lot of our focus went into the larger firms and making sure that they are functioning well and to partner with them. And this year we've seen that the medium size and the smaller firms need just as much, if not more, partnership from us and from the industry and from people like you guys, because they are getting the clients and they need to have that same ability to service the clients just like the larger firms does.
Interesting as well. One of the trends I spoke about at one of the conferences was also that larger managing agencies are absorbing the smaller managing agencies. So you're going to have that very big difference about, with the larger agencies, there's always going to be the need for the small guys to distinguish themselves, but to still have the correct critical mass to be sustainable, because there's a point at which you're not making money. I mean, managing agents live off low margins. So I think it's a little bit of a delicate balancing act, Hunter. And what I want to ask you, technology in itself, where's the resistance point still with trustees? Where what do you need to push through still with them on technology?
So Serena actually touched on it. I mean, one of the most frustrating parts, I think, is that our clients are on a solution which absolutely is the perfect place for everybody to collaborate on, for your auditor, for your attorney, but then also your trustee, even your owner to a certain extent. So we're seeing that the trustees want to have insight more and more. They want to see the financials and they want to see things, but they don't want to collaborate actively. They don't want to log in on the solution and actually go and approve those payments. They just want to see it and then, come back to the managing agent and say, no, reallocate or whatever. But so it's almost like one of those situations, where they say with great power comes great responsibility. They want the power, they want the insight, but they don't want the responsibility of collaborating on the technology that is available to them. It could be that it's a time thing, although it is our belief that it will cut time if if we can collaborate in one place instead of emailing to and fro and WhatsApping to and fro and information getting lost between people. I mean, if we're talking about 5 trustees and a managing agent, maybe an estate manager, if we can all do that in one place, we're not going to do that on all the different WhatsApp groups and stuff like that. So it's one of those situations that we're really trying very hard to address with the clients, and hopefully that trickles down into the trustee pool, is to get to a place of embracing the technology that is available to them to really collaborate with their managing agents on the platform.
So I think we've all been complaining a little bit about what trustees can't be doing and should be doing and that. But what exciting developments or upgrades or user behaviors from 25 gives us hope, Hunter, for the future?
So from our solution, we've had 2 very, very large AI releases this year. Now, I mean, it's not just a blessing. We're all still learning the technology and the new technology. So we've had extremely good interactions with our clients who have been very gracious in beta testing some of it for us and giving us very, very valuable feedback. I mean, you all will know it is one of those situations where you can test until you're blue in the face, but until that you're actually in the field and some weird left wing question comes in from the side, you don't really know how to test for something like that until it happens. But so in the beginning of the year, we have meetings that we relaunched our meetings platform. So there's a little bit of AI involved there because you can now upload a transcript and it will suggest minutes for you. We're obviously still teaching the AI how to interpret minutes properly, and it's a learning process for us and for the AI. And then about 2 months ago, I think we released our AI invoicing assistant as well, so supplier invoices. So the clients can dump 30 or 40 or 50 PDFs, which is invoices they receive from their suppliers. They can dump it onto the solution, and AI will go and scrape the information and give them drafts for supplier invoices that then goes through for payments. So it's very exciting. The hope is that by cutting down on literal manual admin stuff like typing minutes and typing out invoices, it will give the client the headspace, not just the time, but the headspace to actually really step into that role. I mean, we just said we've got trustees that have all of these responsibilities, and they are supposed to be legal experts and financial experts and even architects to some degree, and mediators for disputes and things like that. But they don't have the time or the knowledge to do that in most cases. So the managing agent is in such a crucial position to assist them with them and partner with them and make sure that they are able to do those functions. But the managing agents are being weighed down with admin tasks that
Yeah.
instead of being able to really advise in the way that they should. So we're hoping that with the technology and with the clients embracing the technology, that we get to a point where they can have that headspace and that time to be the advisors that they should be.
And from Sharon Patrick, it says, she says, a suggestion for Hunter, perhaps WeConnectU can develop a chat group where trustees can collaborate and have discussions where decisions are made that keep records, understanding that trustees change each year. Your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Sharon. That's an amazing suggestion. So we we are busy developing a trustee app. So we're hoping that will sort out some of the resistance to collaborating on the platform. Is you've got your architect who's a trustee or a builder or whatever, and he's on site, so he's not going to put on his computer to now log in. So we're hoping that if we give him that access in his pocket, it would be easier. So that's the one portion of it. And with regards to making decisions and records being kept of it, we are also developing our task module much further during the coming months. And we want to, the same way that you have a poll on a meeting now, where that poll is there's a full audit trail for who voted what, etc., etc. We want to have that same functionality on the tasks in the end. So imagine you'll load 3 or 4 or 5 quotes for, let's say, a security camera project, and then the trustees will be able to, on the poll, on the task, just cast their vote. And that is as good as a signed resolution as I've ever seen one. So that is where we're taking that module. So we really are trying to develop it even further for the trustees to be able to collaborate much better.
Yeah, I think goes to those who make life easier for others in business. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to just go back to each one of you now. So, Zelinda, when was one moment in 2025 when you thought to yourself, yes, things are evolving?
Sure.
Is Zelinda there?
Yeah, no, I am. So I'm just having a think about it.
Okay.
So from a technology perspective, with the evolving, this year I received a lot of draft letters, opinions from clients using AI. So I thought that was quite a cool achievement, that they were able to, think for themselves, or have the confidence in getting the answer for themselves. But unfortunately, as you mentioned, what did you say? The hallucination of AI, a lot of the information is not quite correct. So I think, in a variety of different forms, owners, trustees that are actually using the information that is out there to assist themselves, and even making applications to the CSOS and dealing with CSOS matters themselves as well, and having that confidence to do it, has been a lot more prevalent for me in 2025 than it has been before. So there's been a lot more positivity in that. And even when you look at the social media platforms as well, the positivity for using internal dispute resolution and using the CSOS has definitely increased as well, which is nice to see. Yeah, people doing it for themselves.
There you go. And where does that leave us?
No, I don't want them to do it for themselves.
So interesting. I went to a seminar, and I want to show you the book at the end that is a really good buy. And they were saying, as an AI expert from Swiss Re, and he's a global strategist. And he was saying that, yes, that we're going to go to AI, and it's going to sort of take over, but then there's going to be a lull in the conversation. And there's going to be a need for distinguishing yourself. And that distinguishing factor is going to be the human sort of touch, in terms of, going to see client interface. People are going to start getting sick of that. So that will be in the future. So it's okay. We'll still be around, Zelinda.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Serena, people are evolving. When did you think of that? What was your moment that the industry is evolving?
I think seeing the number of people attending webinars and seminars and the physical conferences, that to me showed the hunger for the information. People, just owners in general, really want to have that information. They want to know it. Knowledge is power, obviously. They want to understand sectional title. You could see from the sectional title Facebook group, which just keeps growing and growing and growing, the kind of questions that are on the group. There just seems to be a lot more people that are invested in this kind of industry, where I think that's going to push us all to learn more. I think anyone that says they know enough, they know it all, we don't. We are learning constantly. Every single day there's something new to learn. And I think that's what keeps the industry interesting. It keeps it alive. It keeps it, every day coming to work is a new day, because there's always new things happening. It's never Monday. And I do think that obviously AI has known that WeconnectU is incorporating AI into their workflows, and that, to me, that was a bit of a wow moment, because I'm very old school. I still like my paper more than my my backup. I like to have my hard copy papers as security. So yeah, it's going to take a big mind shift, and I think this industry has to evolve. It has to.
Yes, definitely. And Hunter, the team at WeConnectU, when was that moment when you guys realized, okay, there's hope yet?
So I think Serena made a point that is universal in the clients that we've got, is the mind shift that most clients need to make to take this industry to where it should go, where it can go, and where we all want it to go. So part of that for us was the level up journey that we started this year, which is more interaction with the clients, just making sure, I mean, as you said, people are hungry for information and it's not readily available to a managing agent, and having that sense of community amongst managing agents is also still a very rare thing. So with Level Up, one of our biggest focus points this year was compliance, thanks to CSR's directive and things like that, making the clients very apprehensive about compliance. So we've got a compliance graph, a ground graph, and it's red if you're not compliant and green if you're compliant. And I remember the moment where one of my clients phoned me and he's like, when are you coming to visit me at my office? You need to come see my donut. And I thought to myself, what is he talking about? And then I realized he's like, my donut isn't red and angry, it's green and happy. And then I realized he's talking about
Brilliant.
but
That's brilliant.
seeing
Yeah, good.
seeing at least, and it's not just the one client, it's not just one of the first examples I have,
Mm.
just seeing somebody who used to feel very overwhelmed getting to a point where there's at least that spark of enthusiasm again for something like compliance was a very, very nice thing for us to have. That's what gives us energy here in the office. And it means that we're on the right path. You know, it is something that can be streamlined, that can make us excited, and that can really become one of our biggest selling points as managing agents, as the keepers of all things compliance. So yeah, that was my first moment of this might actually still be a good way for us to do this.
Undoubtedly, undoubtedly. Zelinda, from a personal point of view, what skills have you had to hone to sort out 2025 for yourself?
So one of the things that I made a mission for myself this year was listening to clients and listening to their whole story, as opposed to only listening to the things that I believe I need to hear to give them the answer, and allowing them to really ventilate all of the issues. So I've always been trying to, not incur costs for clients unnecessarily. I don't really allow them to say, oh, it was a bright sunny day and suddenly it started raining and the water came in. And I'm sort of like, is it an AUA? Is it a this? Is it a that? And I started paying more attention to clients' reactions in that as well, which is much easier to do online than it is to do physically, because there's so many other distractions physically, whereas online you can see a lot easier if someone's understanding and things like that. So listening, only speaking when I feel that the client is ready for me to speak, allowing them to interrupt and give more information, explaining, asking them if they understand. And I suppose that all wraps up into patience. So because I always think that I know the answer to a problem, and all schemes are the same, there's no one that's unique, and all those fun sayings, I'm trying to really let the client ventilate themselves. It is bringing in more money as well, because then you get to charge more, but that's that's a whole different ball
Yeah,
game. So,
that's the
yeah.
upside, I suppose. Serena, what is going to energize you, or what does energize you at the moment, and thinking about 2026?
Marina, I would love to give you the answer that you want to hear, but the answer when I went to my staff this morning and I said, I'm going to ask you some questions, and what is your answer to this? They were like, boss, we just want to make it to Friday. We can't tell you about 2026. We're just trying to make it to Friday. And yeah, the thing is that we cannot plan. We don't know what's going to happen. We have our systems in place. We have to be ready, but we take each day as it comes and take nothing personally. Yeah.
Very, very good advice. And Hunter, some words of encouragement for our women in sectional title community to
Oh,
end off.
that's a loaded one. Marina, you know what, as women, I think we are very used to just powering through, toughen it out, power through. And I would really like us all to realize that without the women, there isn't an industry. We are the largest part of this industry. So if we stop and we say some things in this industry just isn't working the way it should, we can be that change. We can really be that change we would like to see. And it's up to each and every one of us. And we believe that we've actually got an enormous responsibility to get those changes to happen. So I think that is what I really want to encourage each and everyone to go and do during this holiday that I know very little of our clients are actually going to take, but I really hope they do take a few days, is to really go and sit and just say, you know what, clean slate. If I had to dream about an ideal world, ideal industry, what would that be? And let's work towards that.
Yeah, thank you. That's food for thought for sure. So now I'd like to try and inspire you guys by saying I went to this seminar the other day, and the keynote speaker was a lady called Adriana Murray, and she is actually a biophysicist, and she deals with the travel. She was in the top 100 to actually go to Mars. She was an absolutely brilliant speaker, and what is fascinating about her is it's her and two other women who are leading the race to the moon for Africa. So they are going to the moon in 2029, and the first Africans on the continent to be going. They're doing that with the Chinese. I actually even bought her book. It's called Out of This World and Into the Next. That's Adriana Murray. I wish we could have her. If you're listening, Serena, if you could maybe talk to Lisbeth about having her as a speaker for our NAMA conference next year. Just fantastic to see what women can achieve, the vision, the goals, how the seemingly impossibility of something taking shape from a dream to a reality, just unreal. So she can do that. I think we can do in our little part of the world, we can also do our bit. So thank you again to WeconnectU for sponsoring us for this year. It means so much to me, and I love working with your teams. You guys are professional, and I personally think any managing agent who doesn't have WeconnectU on board is definitely missing out. Thank you, ladies, Zelinda, Serena, and Hunter. Thank you for the insights, beautiful insights. Appreciate it so much. And for all of you ladies, I think there might be one or two gents on here. They lurk around, but we will welcome them if they support us. Have a wonderful festive season. Please stay safe. And happy holidays. Come back safely to us. We'll be in a new format next year, a new exciting format. So we'll see you then and we'll let you know. Take care. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye all. Bye.